The one thing that both my mom and dad are great examples of is what you can do when you move to Alaska and you make something for yourself up here. My mom came from India. She immigrated to this country on July 4th. So you look at someone like her who didn't speak the language fluently, but she has broken glass ceilings in the banking world in this state. My mom has lived the American dream, and she continues to do so. My dad, he came from the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, and he's come up here and he adopted Alaska as if it was his own home and it was his own home state.
Just moving to a whole new country, not knowing much about anything about this whole place, and then meeting the people that she's met, starting her own bank, and then becoming, you know, one of the most 25 women to watch in banking in the world at one point. That's amazing to me. And she built something out of nothing. And now she's so well known in this community and has accomplished so much. And that is the kind of person that I want to be in my life.
And so Denali State Bank was a bank that began kind of at the tail end of the pipeline boom days. So things were going gangbusters in Fairbanks, and a group of business leaders in town decided that, you know, we needed a community bank. The bank had started, and that they were looking for people to staff the bank, and I believe that Joe was one of the very first employees of the bank.
You know, working with Joe when she's been a regent, she was the chair of the Board of Regents when I was hired as president. She and I worked together very, very closely through some very challenging issues, and I learned a lot from Joe.
When I think of Joe in servant leadership, it gets back to my sense of this lack of pretentiousness. Joe can mingle with anyone and is willing to pick up the burden of responsibility, whether it's on the regents, whether it's in the community, whether it's the multiple service groups that she has been involved with. Servant leadership is putting the needs of others first, and that's Joe Heckman.
Steve, whether he realized it or not, had a huge impact on the Alaska State Troopers here in Fairbanks. He was a quiet but strong leader. My description of Steve Heckman is a man that has not only put his community and his service to the community first in his life, but also had his family right there with him.
Having a father that was a trooper definitely was awesome. He retired when I was 4. But he never stopped being a trooper, especially at home. It was the most respectable thing about him, and all my friends think my dad is the most badass man ever.
Steve Heckman spoke about leadership, and that the leader is not necessarily the guy who stands up and tells everybody what to do, but the guy who's out in front doing it.
Having my father as a teacher at Monroe, Andrew was the real troublemaker. I was the perfect child. Even if it was in my DNA, I couldn't skip school, I couldn't get detention because he would know about it. It was such a small school that he would find out probably before the principal even found out.
He came into the office and he said, I just retired and I've heard about this program, and would you be interested in a class on any of these topics? And he had a few topics on his list, and we looked and went, wow, those look really interesting. He's had over 500 enrolled seats. A lot of those are repeaters because he certainly has a fan club. He has a good rapport with people. They really love him. They'll go, oh, what's Steve going to teach next? He's one of we call them our Ollie rock stars, where I think they could probably stand up in front of the classroom and read the phone book and people would still show up.
Well, I think that Steve and Joe make a difference in the Fairbanks community simply by the way they interact, and the way their character that they have together, and how that's represented in what they do in the community. So I think they're people to aspire to look up to, because they're a pretty complete package. When you talk about a distinguished citizen, I can't imagine a couple that represents that better than Steve and Joe Heckman.
I think they're quite a team, and they model good values and accomplishment. There is no ostentation about either one of them. They are just friendly people, and in doing for others, they make others want to be that kind of good, capable person.
Going to Fred Meyer's with my mom is pretty excruciating.
You can go in there and you can say this is only going to be a 10-minute errand, and you're there for an hour and a half, because she runs into everyone that she knows, but she takes the time to talk to everyone, and that's a great trait about her, and I love her for it. It's a good quality about her that she takes the time to talk to people.
And then I tell them that my dad is like this ex-cop, and now he was a teacher, and now he's retired, and now he just sits and plays music all day, and he's just 71 and he's just this hardcore dude.
Joe and Steve, enjoy your time in the spotlight. Sometimes it's kind of hard to be there, but just enjoy it and know how much all of us in the community appreciate and love you, and want to thank you for all that you do in the past, in the present, and that we know that you will do in the future.
Every person in Fairbanks has a story, a positive story to tell about Joe and Steve. As leaders in our community, as a model couple, as parents of two fine young men. Yes, Fairbanks is a beautiful place. We have a great university and a tremendous town, but ultimately it's about our people. Fine people like Joe and Steve who make this community great. Thank you.
Hey, Mom and Dad. I know that I was trying to make it here as hard as I could. You know, I'm not surprised that you guys even got this. I'm not surprised that you guys get stuff like this at all, for how hard you guys work. You're the biggest inspirations in my life for so many reasons, and this is just one of them. I really wish that I was here for you guys. I'm really, really, really proud of you guys, and I love you so much, and I couldn't be prouder to be your son. And congratulations again.
Mom and Dad, congratulations on being honored as distinguished citizens by the Midnight Sun Council, Boy Scouts of America. I'm biased, but it could not have been bestowed upon a more deserving couple, people who have done a lot for this community, who are examples to friends, family, acquaintances, colleagues. You have done a lot to make this community what it is, and congratulations to you both.